Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear, but they need to. When a person is making a big decision about you, you'll feel it before they ever say it. See, grown decisions don't announce themselves with speeches and promises. They show up quietly in actions, consistency, and intention. That's how real life works. Anybody can talk. Anybody can make you feel special for a moment. But when somebody is deciding if you're a part of their future, their behavior changes, their priorities change, their excuses start disappearing. Let me tell you something real, and I want you to listen closely, because this right here will save you a lot of time, tears, and emotional confusion. When a person is making a big decision about you, it does not start with a speech, it does not start with a promise, and it definitely does not start with a social media post. Big decisions always show up in behavior first. Always. I'm serious about you before they say, I see a future. Their actions start talking loud. See, grown people don't practice commitment with words. They practice it with consistency. When someone is weighing your place in their life, their routine begins to shift. You don't have to ask for time. They create it. You don't have to remind them you exist. They already factor you in. Their choices begin to include you naturally, not because you demanded it, but because your presence matters to them. That's how you know it's real. Anybody can say they're thinking about you, but when they actually are, it shows up in how they move. Pay attention to how reliable they become. When a person is unsure, everything is flexible. Plans change, calls come late, excuses sound rehearsed. But when a person is deciding if you're part of their future, reliability becomes important to them. They don't like disappointing you. They don't disappear for days and come back like nothing happened. They understand that trust is built in small moments, and they guard those moments carefully. You'll also notice their energy becomes steady, not dramatic, not hot and cold, steady. Emotional consistency is a sign of seriousness. When someone is making a big decision about you, they stop playing emotional games, because games are risky. And when something matters, you don't gamble with it. You protect it. So if you're constantly confused, constantly questioning where you stand, constantly trying to decode mixed signals, that's not a big decision being made. That's uncertainty living loud. Here's another thing people overlook. When a person is deciding about you, their circle starts to know about you, not in a loud way, not in a show-off way, but in a natural way. You come up in conversations. You're mentioned in plans. You're not hidden. Because when someone is serious, they don't compartmentalize you. They integrate you. And listen, effort becomes intentional, not grand gestures every 5 minutes, but thoughtful effort. They remember what matters to you. They check in without being asked. They notice when something's off. This is not about perfection. It's about presence. When someone is deciding if you're their person, they are mentally present even when they're busy. Now, here's the part that might sting a little. If someone says they're thinking about you, but their behavior stays the same, they're not deciding, they're delaying. And delaying is still a decision, because people move quickly toward what they don't want to lose. Nobody drags their feet over something they truly value, so don't get hypnotized by words. Don't fall in love with potential. Watch behavior, watch patterns, watch consistency, because big decisions don't whisper through promises. They announce themselves through action. And once you understand that, you stop chasing clarity and start recognizing it when it shows up. Let me break this down for you in a way that's honest, simple, and grown, because this is where a lot of people get emotionally stuck. When someone is serious about you, confusion starts to disappear. Not all problems vanish. Not every question is answered overnight. But that constant feeling of where do I stand slowly fades away. That's not an accident. That's intention. A person who is making a big decision about you understands that confusion costs peace, and if they value you, they don't want you living in emotional chaos. See, when someone is unsure, they keep doors half open. They give you just enough attention to keep you around, but not enough clarity to let you relax. One day they're all in. The next day they're distant. That hot and cold behavior is not romance, it's indecision. And indecision always creates anxiety for the other person. But when someone is genuinely weighing your place in their future, they don't like seeing you stressed, doubting yourself, or questioning their intentions. They start closing unnecessary doors because clarity protects what matters. You'll feel the difference in how direct they become. They don't dodge conversations anymore. They don't change the subject when the future comes up. They may not have every answer yet, but they're honest about where they are. And honesty brings calm. Even when the situation isn't perfect, clarity gives you peace. That's how you know something real is happening behind the scenes. Another thing that changes is emotional availability. When someone is deciding about you, they let you see more of them. Not just the fun side, not just the charming side, but the human side. They open up about pressure, fears, responsibilities, and real life stress. Because when someone is considering a future with you, they stop performing and start being real. They're not trying to impress you anymore. They're trying to connect with you. You'll also notice that emotional distance starts to shrink. They check in without being reminded. They ask how you're really doing, not just out of habit, but with attention. They listen. Not to respond, but to understand. When someone is serious, they want to know how you think, how you feel, and how you handle life. That's part of deciding if you fit into their world long term. Now, let me say something important. Clarity does not mean pressure. A person making a big decision about you does not rush you, trap you, or make you feel boxed in. Instead, they create emotional safety. You feel comfortable expressing yourself. You feel heard. Even when you disagree, that safety is a sign of maturity and seriousness. And here's the truth a lot of people avoid. If you're constantly explaining your needs, constantly asking for reassurance, constantly wondering if you're asking for too much, then the other person is not in decision mode, they're in convenience mode. Because when someone knows you matter, they don't make you beg for clarity. They offer it. So pay attention to the peace. Pay attention to how calm your spirit feels around them. When confusion leaves and clarity walks in, it's usually because someone has decided you're worth being clear about. Let me tell you something most people don't like to admit, but it's the truth every single time. Silence is an answer. Distance is an answer. And effort is an answer. When a person is making a big decision about you, they may not say much at first, but what they do or don't do speaks louder than anything that comes out of their mouth. People reveal their intentions by how they show up when no one is watching and nothing is required. When someone is unsure about you, silence feels careless, messages go unanswered. Days pass without explanation. And when they finally show back up, they act like nothing happened. That kind of silence isn't thoughtful, it's dismissive. But when a person is seriously weighing your place in their life, their silence has purpose. They communicate, even if they're busy, even if they're overwhelmed, they let you know where they stand because they understand that disappearing creates doubt and doubt weakens connection. Distance works the same way. When distance grows without reason, without communication, it's not space, it's separation. A person making a real decision doesn't drift. They don't slowly fade out and expect you to chase them back. If they need time, they explain it. They don't leave you guessing, because leaving someone guessing is a form of emotional neglect, and people who care don't neglect what they're trying to protect. Now let's talk about effort, because this one tells the whole story. Effort is not about grand gestures or dramatic displays. It's about consistency. It's about showing up when it's inconvenient. It's about doing what you said you were going to do. When a person is deciding if you're part of their future, effort becomes non-negotiable. They don't make excuses for why they couldn't call. They don't expect you to understand their absence without explanation. They understand that effort is how trust is built. Watch how they respond when life gets hard. Anybody can be present when everything is smooth, but when pressure hits, stress rises, or responsibilities pile up, a person who values you will still find a way to show up, maybe not perfectly, but intentionally. They don't shut you out. They don't treat you like an extra problem. They treat you like a partner in the process. Here's the hard truth. If someone only shows effort when it's convenient, they're not deciding, they're sampling. They enjoy your presence, your support, your attention, but they haven't committed to the responsibility that comes with choosing you. And that kind of half effort will drain you if you let it. Pay attention to patterns, not apologies. Apologies without change are just delays. A person making a big decision doesn't keep making the same mistake and explaining it away. They adjust, they grow, they try harder because they understand that losing you is a real possibility and that awareness changes behavior. So when you're wondering where you stand, don't overanalyze texts or tone. Look at silence. Look at distance. Look at effort. They never lie. People may struggle to say what they want, but their actions will always reveal what they're choosing. Let me talk to you about something that doesn't get enough attention, but it tells you everything you need to know. When a person is making a big decision about you, they start protecting you. Not in a controlling way, not in a possessive way, but in a mature, intentional way. Protection shows up when someone sees you as valuable, not temporary. And people don't protect what they plan to lose. You'll notice it first in how they handle your feelings. They become more careful with their words. They think before they speak. They don't joke in ways that make you feel small or insecure. When they mess up, they own it because hurting you doesn't feel casual to them anymore. Your emotions start to matter, not just when it's convenient, but all the time. Protection also shows up in how they manage your time. They don't waste it. They don't keep you waiting around with vague plans and last-minute cancellations. They respect that your life matters just as much as theirs. When someone is deciding about you, they understand that time is one of the most valuable things you give, and they don't take it lightly. Watch how they speak about you when you're not around. A person who's serious doesn't allow disrespect toward you, even from friends or family. They shut down jokes that cross the line. They correct misinformation. They don't let your name be dragged through careless conversations, because once someone sees you as part of their future, your reputation becomes connected to theirs. You'll also see protection in boundaries. They don't put you in situations that make you uncomfortable. They don't flirt recklessly, entertain unnecessary attention, or create doubt on purpose. Not because you demanded it, but because they understand that trust is fragile. And when someone is making a big decision about you, they don't test trust, they guard it. Another quiet sign of protection is inclusion. They don't hide you. They don't keep you separate from their real life. You're not a secret, a side note, or a private escape. You're part of their world. They introduce you naturally, not dramatically. Because protecting you also means acknowledging you publicly in a way that feels safe and respectful. Protection also shows up emotionally. When life gets heavy, they don't shut down and disappear. They communicate. They let you know what's going on instead of leaving you to imagine the worst. They don't punish you with silence. They understand that emotional safety is part of protecting someone you care about. Now, here's the part a lot of people miss. Protection doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean they'll never mess up or misunderstand you. It means when they do, they correct it. They adjust their behavior because they don't want to be the reason you feel insecure, anxious, or uncertain. So if someone is careless with your feelings, inconsistent with your time, or comfortable putting you in emotionally unsafe situations, they are not making a big decision about you. Because people don't protect what they're unsure about. Protection is the behavior of someone who already sees your worth and is moving accordingly. Let me tell you something that will shift the way you see waiting, patience, and timing in relationships. You do not rush someone who is already moving toward clarity. You just don't. When a person is truly making a big decision about you, there is motion happening, even if it's quiet, and quiet movement is still movement. A lot of people mess this up because they confuse silence with stagnation, but the two are not the same. Some people think deeply before they act, and when the decision is real, they're not wandering, they're aligning. When someone is